Hi, my name is Maggie Winfrey. I'm here to tell you a story, how I changed my life. 46 years ago, I was in a miserable state. I had lost my daughter to sudden infant death syndrome. My marriage was failing. My husband's alcoholism was reaching the point of no return. My two preschool sons needed stability and love, and I had no way to support us financially. Everything was sliding in the wrong direction. I was religious. I went to church, where priests told me there was a God who loved me unconditionally. But I didn't know what that meant. They might as well have been describing an imaginary friend in a language I didn't speak. I tried to find God, praying every day. But it was like tossing paper airplanes into a tornado. My plan for a happy life was crumbling all around me. Then everything changed. One afternoon, I put my young sons down for naps and sat on the floor in front of my bed. I had dug out my old Bible from storage and looked up a few passages I'd heard on a program I'd attended the night before. I don't remember what they were, but I read one a few times and then closed my eyes and settled my awareness, with each breath sinking a little more into stillness. Then suddenly it happened. I was plunged into a hidden place of consciousness within myself. Physically, I was still there at the foot of the bed, but behind my closed eyes I saw a golden light. I was thrust into a new realm of perception, where I felt love and protection surging through me. The Holy Spirit reached across the chasm of my scattered sense of being and flooded me with love. I knew then that I was cherished. I knew God within me. I felt love as the essence of my true self. Wow, what was that? I asked myself as I emerged. It has taken me years to be able to digest the experience that day and the all-encompassing impact it would have on my life. The gist of it is that God broke through the cloud of misunderstanding to show me that I am deeply loved, as I am, and invited me to accept the amazing adventure ahead for me as a beloved child of God. Some people call it the phenomenon, the tumbling into the deepest point of your being, a trapdoor experience. It can be different for everyone. For me, it's my connection to God. For others, it's tapping into a unified relationship between all things. And for some people, it's their link to the essence of true peace. It was only years after my own trapdoor experience that I discovered a community of people who harness this practice to seek their closeness with God. They call it contemplation. One of the most well-known practitioners was a 20th century Trappist monk named Thomas Merton, who opened the world to contemplation through his prodigious writing. He revived an ancient method begun in the early church, used to seek closeness to God. He first taught it to his monks, and lay people picked it up later. I've learned it, and I'm here to invite you to experience it too, so you can open yourself to your true spiritual self. As Merton said, contemplation is the reason for our existence, as the highest expression of our intellectual and spiritual life. It generates personal, sacred experiences that bond our relationship with God. For me, accepting the invitation allowed me to reverse my life's course from disaster to true happiness. I was called by God. I had a thirst, a pull within me that I knew was real, and the answer to fulfilling that yearning was simply learning how to use the right tools. It doesn't seem easy, and for many of us, it never seems to be the right time to make a real commitment. Most of us are bombarded with busy schedules, responsibilities, ambitions, worries, and tragedies. Where does this inner calling fit into our own chaos? Shouldn't we deal with our real problems first? It just so happens that one of the most well-known Christian mystics had the same problem. St. Augustine was a brilliant speechwriter for a Roman emperor in the 4th century CE. He was making tons of money and living a luxurious life. He also hated his job and thought his boss, the emperor, was a fool. He was miserable. He too heard the divine call, but he kept putting it off. How many of us feel lost like Augustine? We may pray, but intimacy with God that we hear so much about appears forever out of reach. Others may have caught a glimpse of the closeness, but don't know how to make it a permanent part of their lives. Still others may want to get big things out of the way first, getting the kids through school, buying lakefront property, achieving partner status. But here's the thing. The happiness that we're looking for doesn't have anything to do with these external things. We can't reach it on the outside. As Augustine discovered, it's inside. While we don't know exactly what happened, we do know that he changed his life once he found out how to connect with God within. He addressed God. Lo, you were within, but I, outside, seeking there for you, upon the shapely things you have made, they held me back from you. You were with me, but I was not with you. What is this inner realm that Augustine found? We have different levels of awareness. The first is what's going on around us. It's the guy in front of us in traffic, and the song on the radio, and the growling of our stomach, and the endless list of things running around in our head. The second level is spiritual awareness. It's the awe we feel in an ancient forest, or the hushed grip on our heart as we smell the incense entering a sacred space, or the penetrating peace we get from a mindfulness exercise. This level is accessed by our minds, imaginations, images, and words. But wait, there's more. Most people don't know about the inner level we can reach. It goes beneath the surface of everyday perception, to a different place, to our center where our true self is with God. Thinking or imagining is not how we access it. Contemplation is how we get there. It is resting in silence in God. Merton describes this as le point vierge, a virgin point. He says, at the center of our being is a point of nothingness which is untouched by sin and by illusion, a point of pure truth, a point or spark which belongs entirely to God. This little point of nothingness and of absolute poverty is the pure glory of God in us. It is, so to speak, His name written in us as our poverty, as our indigence, as our dependence, as our son-daughtership. On that afternoon, so long ago, when I discovered how to look for God within, everything changed. Like Augustine, I had been miserable, but now the only thing I knew was that I had to continue spending time every day becoming close to God. I looked for someone to help me understand more, but nobody knew what I was talking about. Still, I kept practicing every day. Unconditional love was now something I knew, and that couldn't be taken away from me. My life began to change slowly. Gifts flowed to me. My ability to see things clearly sharpened as the fog lifted. Connecting with God healed my sorrow, strengthened me, and gave me courage. I was not alone. God has always been with me. I just hadn't realized it before. Armed with this new knowledge that I was a beloved of God, I was able to see what was important. And decisions I struggled with before became easy. Clarity allowed me to leave my husband and become a sole provider for my sons. Taking risks challenged me on the outside, while strength and wisdom flowed from the inside. As my sons and I began our new life together, contemplation gave me energy to tackle challenges that had seemed daunting before. I was soon teaching children full-time while going to graduate school and providing a loving, stable home. Incredible gifts emerged from the fire that God kindled in my heart. Contemplation enabled me to see my sons grow to become wonderful adults. I am blessed by them and their partners. Contemplation gave me power as I taught children to read through the years. Today, it is my lifeline where I sit in silence with God 3 or 4 times each day. And what's best is I'm just getting started. It's not just me. There are over 1,200 of us in Atlanta and northern Georgia who practice contemplation using a tool called centering prayer that was created by 3 other Trappist monks who were monastic brothers of Merton. We're part of an international organization called Contemplative Outreach. When we practice centering prayer, we use 4 guidelines. I will read them to you. Number 1, choose a sacred word as a symbol of your intention to consent to God's presence and action within. Number 2, sitting comfortably and with eyes closed, settle briefly and silently introduce the sacred word as the symbol of your consent to God's presence and action within. Number 3, when engaged with your thoughts, return ever so gently to the sacred word. Thoughts include body sensations, feelings, images, and reflections. Number 4, at the end of the prayer period, remain in silence with eyes closed for a couple of minutes. You can pursue this practice alone, but like anything you want to get better at, we find that it really helps to do it in groups. That's why we conduct weekly centering prayer sessions in small groups, both in person and on Zoom, where we can contemplate together and feel the love flow among us. We invite you to join us. You can find our Atlanta chapter on our website here. If you'd like to learn more, become part of a group, or join one of our events. I'd like to end by getting back to Augustine. He wasn't ready for the change when it happened, but when it did, he was able to end his fruitless search for closeness to God through external things. In his words, it was as simple as looking within. Now we have the same tool in contemplation to achieve all that ourselves. It's on the inside. Now we know where to look. Let's accept the invitation God extends to us. Come, my lovely one, my beloved, come.